Hi everyone, and today we're going to make a little tutorial on 3ds Max. So I'm going to assume that for this tutorial you already know a bit about 3ds Max, not a lot, but at least how to move the camera, etc. How to get into this display, so well, I'm going to do it anyway, so basically you should begin with this kind of display. You click on the plus here, maximize viewport, okay. You get into orthographic here, you get into realistic and edge faces here, and we're done. Okay, fine, I didn't spend too much time doing this. Okay, so today we are going to make the hull of this beautiful AMX-10S here, which is part of the beautiful French pack mod, which is beautifully made by myself because I am beautiful. Did I say too much beautiful? Anyway, so we are going to make only this hull, so I'm going to get it ready a bit, perhaps. We're going to hide what we don't need. Up, in case you would wonder what is right in here, it means I hate painting in French. I unselect up like this, and we are going so to make this. And you may think, oh my god, this is going to be so complicated, because you perhaps are a rookie. If you're not a rookie, you're simply going to say pussy. But well, I'm going to assume that you are a rookie, so this is going to be complicated for you to do. Except that no, actually, if you know how to do, it is extremely simple. Okay. So what we're going to do is get here into create list. So this is the main create tool. So this is where you're going to create what we call primitive. Primitive or other things, by the way, but today we're only going to talk about primitive because you are a bit primitive. So we've got boxes, for example. You can create a beautiful box. And in case you just thought 1 second about it, you may think that I started with a box in order to do this. Never ever use a box to do something, because it is going to be a fucking headache and you are going to go mad in 5 minutes. So no, we don't want to make a box because boxes are shitty, so perhaps a cone. Why for exactly a cone? It is completely useless. We remove it. Sphere, obviously. Geosphere, I don't even know what it is. Cylinder, cylinder, they can be extremely useful, but we don't talk about them today. Tube, no. Torus, we want the donut. No. Pyramids, we're not fucking Egyptian. And teapot, what's the project here? No. So perhaps plane. And so now you are starting to wonder, wow, the fuck am I going to start with a plane and obtain this? This beautiful, extraordinarily cubic basic hull. Well, because you are good doing stuff, so you're going to do it. So I've got my beautiful plane here, and we are going to talk about it just a bit in order to set up a bit of vocabulary. Okay. So in 3D language, which is not the common language, we are talking, when we are talking about points, we are not talking about points, we are talking about vertices or vertex if you talk about one single point. So there is one vertex here, two vertices, one vertex here, two vertices, etc. And I have many difficulties to say it because I'm speaking in English and I'm French and I'm not used to speak your fucking language. So two vertices, three vertices, etc, etc, etc. You've got one edge, two edges, three edges, four edges. Okay, not one single edge here, because this mesh is divided in several edges. One edge here, each time separated by a vertex. So an edge is nothing else than something which binds one vertex to another. Then you've got faces, so you've got one face here, one face here, one face here, one here, one here, one here, one here, etc. And this entire thing is not a face. This is a combination of faces, because again we've got several squares. And finally a mesh or a polygon, which is the entire thing. What am I doing here? Go away. Okay. So what I want to do in order to start to work with my beautiful AMX-10S here is to light up my cigarette. First thing. Second thing, it is to get rid of all these unuseful vertices, etc. that I get here, because I simply created a generic plane, and 3ds Max wants it to have so many vertices, and I'm not going to use them at all. I want them to disappear right now. So for this, I am still in the Create tool. Now I am going to click on the beautiful rainbow. And don't ask me why it is a rainbow, perhaps the 3ds Max coder was gay, I don't know. And we're going to select it again. And then we're going to get into length and width segment, and we're going to write 1 and 1. And now we've got a beautiful square. You want to work with squares. As a beginner, you only want to work with squares because it is far simpler for you. You don't want to work with triangles. You are going to get lost in the process. So squares, as you can see, this mesh is more or less entirely made of squares. Square here, square here, square here, one square, one square, one square. I'm not talking obviously about perfect squares, okay? In case you didn't understand, it's simply 4 vertices, 4 vertices, 4 vertices, etc. Never 5, never 6, never 8, never 10, never anything else than 4, except when you cannot do something else, like here, 3 vertices. And I see, by the way, that I made a mistake because it should not be alone. So I've got. No, I'm astucious. I'm smart. No, so no, it's not a triangle. You see, 4 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am good. I am so good. So well, always 4 vertices everywhere, every fucking where. And so now you may start to understand why I selected a 4 vertices plane in order to start. Because simply this plane is going to be, for example, for beginning, this beautiful square, this one, let's say. We're going to start with this. Okay, so I take my beautiful plane here, my beautiful 4 vertices plane. I click on rotate here, and I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees. So it's written in yellow here, because you wouldn't see it on the video. And then I'm going to click on F to push on F. For me, actually, it's the front view. You can enable the view cube, which should be here, by using the plus here, and view cube, show the view cube. Still be aware that on 3ds Max 2016, if I disabled it on this session, for example, it is because sometimes it leads to camera issues, where you suddenly get teleported several thousands of kilometers from your model, which is not nice. So if you want to recenter your model at any moment, you simply select it. Would it be there or there? Okay, and you push on Z. Okay, so I'm here. Z. Oh, W for you perhaps. Yes, because I've got an AZT keyboard, not a QWERTY one. I'm French, in case you didn't yet understand it. Okay, so well, I centered it. That's perfect. Everything is working fine. So I'm going to look at it right now. So again, I use macros. You can use the view cube here to get perfectly aligned, as you can see. Okay, and I'm going to put it, well, this. So I use the move tool, the rotate tool, and the scale tool most of the time. Don't be too intimidated, by the way, by the 3ds Max interface. You know, most of you are simmers, and you perfectly know, we perfectly know that when you get first time in a cockpit, you see so all these switches, all these buttons, you don't know what they are for, but at the end of the day, when you finish your flight, you simply think, hey, I only used 3 of them. It's exactly the same with 3ds Max. You never use everything because for DCS modding, we simply don't need to use everything. For professional work, it's something else. Okay, so I'm going to put it there, right here, and what I would like for starting is to redimension it at the right size. Okay, so for this I'm going to use the scale tool here. I click on it, and then I put my mouse on the y-axis. As you can see, it becomes yellow. I alt click. Okay, we're more or less here, and now I'm going to put it like this. Okay, fine. We're okay more or less at the beginning. We're going to put it here. Yeah, we are good here. So obviously here I decided to do not spend too much time doing this tutorial, so I decided to do not take a blueprint or anything. I use as a basis one of my own models. Most of the time, if you want to create something, you're going to need blueprints. So you will display a plane, you will create a plane, you will attach a texture on it, which will be the blueprint. So for example, this view of the vehicle, so lateral view, frontal view, etc. But you will work in this exact same way, so you will put the plane here, so on the way and the place you want it to be, and that's all. There it is easier for you to understand because the model behind is already created, so you can already see the shape, okay, and the way I did it. So the way of thinking is the following. I've got one first plane here, and what I want to do is to create an extension to this plane, which will be another face, another four vertices face, which will go there with one vertex going down here. Okay, so I will get this. Then I create a new one here, tack, like this, and then another one here, okay, etc., etc. So I think you can understand basically the stuff I'm going to do. But currently I cannot do it because I'm still using a primitive, just like you are, and so it was for free. And so, well, I cannot do it. I cannot edit anything. I cannot even display the vertices. I cannot display perfectly the edges. I mean, I cannot select one edge or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on it and use convert to editable poly. You can do it here by clicking on the plane editable poly here. Okay. Here on the list, you can see that my plane is currently selected. There are a lot of other stuff because there are simply a lot of things on this model. Okay, and there are several other models, by the way, on this session. There is the extended protection for model. There are various loads, etc. The collision model, etc. But we don't want to get our hands into this right now. If I want to hide it, for example, because I don't want to see it anymore, I simply click on the what is the name of this? Wait one second. Dipole. Comment est-ce qu'il dit ça? Oh shit, fucking bandwidth is slow. Well, anyway, you see it, this thing. Okay. So I click on this, so to hide it and hide it. And so, well, anyway, what I wanted to show to you, so I'm going to, well, go back here. I'm going to convert it to editable poly, and look at the menu on the right, please, and convert editable poly, and the menu change. Okay. Now I am in a full edition menu and full edition mode. So this menu is extremely simple to understand. Here you've got the vertex mode. So again, we are going to work with the dots. I'm going to put it perhaps the model currently right now here. Okay, so like this, you see it perhaps a bit better, while you won't see it a lot. But anyway, you see there is one vertex here, one vertex here, one vertex here. I can select one, for example, move it like this. Okay. Use I think Ctrl W for QWERTY keyboard to cancel what you did. Up, up, like this. Beware of this, by the way, because it won't keep in memory a lot of actions. Okay, it must be something like 20 or 30. So don't do a lot of shit and then thinking, well, I can cancel it anyway, because you won't be able to do it. If you really messed it up and did shit, you can still try to go here, open, don't save. Okay, you go there, and you should have the auto back, which is the autosave menu. You can see, by the way, that I have an autosave which was created a few minutes before. So it is, yes, it is 2 AM here, but it is 2:20 on here, so it was 5 minutes ago. So well, so in vertex mode, so I can select values, vertexes. If I want to select this one without doing this, I want to select those two, for example. But I don't want to use this way of working, simply because, let's say, for example, it's a far more complex model and I have several vertices here, etc. I click one here, I hold Control, and then I click on the second. Okay, I want to unselect it, I hold Alt, okay, and I click on it. I click Alt Control, for example, here, 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 holding Control. I hold Alt. I want to remove these two, for example. Okay. I want to get these two vertices to get near each of them, getting near from the other. Okay, so this one should move here. This one should move here. What I do is go to Scale Tool here, and I scale them. And as you can see, up. We are going to move more and more on the same position here on the X-axis. If I do it on the Y-axis, it will do this. Okay, I'm going to cancel this. If I want to rotate them, well, I can actually, because I selected two vertices. It is obvious to say that if I select one vertex, yes, I can rotate it. it's extremely useful to rotate a vertex. And well, that's kind of all. Now, with the edge menu, I can select one edge, and this time move the entire edge. So I can select two edges and move the two edges. With the border mode is simply going to look at where is the border of your model. So let's take, for example, here, well, the border is all around, so I simply click here, and it is going to select all the edges. But let's imagine, well, I'm going to do it fast. Don't pay attention to what I'm doing right now. I'm simply showing something to you. Tag connect one, okay, remove here, okay. There I would want to select this all. For example, I simply get in border mode and I click here, and it selected this border. So as you can see, it's simply the border where there is a hole or something like this. Going to cancel everything, up, okay. If I want, well, let's imagine that I've got two edges here. I want to erase one edge. I don't select the edge and press on delete, because it is going to do this, and this is not what I want. I'm going to hold Control and click on remove here, and I removed it, okay. And I too removed the vertices which were attached to the edge. If I want to remove this single vertex, same process, hold Control, remove, okay. I still have this one to remove, hold Control, remove, etc. If I want, let's go back to the vertex because I didn't explain you everything. If I want, well, let's say we have got this shape, okay, and I want to make a perfect triangle. So I don't want two vertices here, I want only one. I've got the weld tool here, so don't click simply on this because it's not a good way to do it. You click here on the little square, and here you can select the threshold, which is nothing else than the distance between each vertices where it is going to weld. So as you can see, I raised it a bit and very weld, okay, so I'm not going to do it. If I want to chamfer, we don't need to chamfer, and well, there is no point in chamfering vertices anyway. Okay, so we don't give a fuck anymore about this part, so let's go back here. So let's say here, well, we are not going to use them right now. This border, we're not going to use them. Plane now, plane mode, so I'm going to select the wall plane. I've got several very useful tools which come with this. So for example, the extrude mode, which is simply going to extrude, okay. So again, always use never click on the button, directly click here on the little squares, so in order to be able to set a value. So now you see I'm creating nothing else than a cube from a plane because I'm extruding something. Well, a cube without this, of course, but anyway. Okay, if I do a bevel is more or less the same, so I'm going to reduce its size so you can understand what it is. So it is nothing else than extruding, but with the ability to, I don't know how to say it, to bevel, I think, actually, because it is English after all. So I can do this, extremely useful too. Very, very, very useful tool. And bridge, we are not going to use it anyway. And finally, element, or polygon, I call it polygon, so don't be surprised if I call it this way. Polygon, I select the entire polygon, so a nice illustration would be there, okay. Vertex, I can select vertices, okay. Edge, I select one edge, hold Control, two edge, three edges, etc. Border, I can find borders, so as you can see there is one here because I didn't weld it. And I publish this as a mod. Dang. Anyway, face, I can select one face, two faces, three faces, etc, etc, etc. And finally, polygon, where I can select one entire part, two entire parts, etc. Okay. So, few other things now. Let's get back to the edge system. Okay. You are going to watch it 3 or 4 times, I think, seeing how fast I speak in order to understand everything. So let's say that I want to select all the parallel edges here, okay? So without having to do something shitty like, but it would work anyway, like this, okay? So this is a way to do it, actually. The other way is to click on one and click on a ring here, and as you can see, it's selected most of them, but currently only on this on this face because there are some particularities as I use some few things at the end of the modeling. But anyway, so it is done like this. If I want now to select, for example, this one, okay, this edge, and I want to select the all continuous edges here, so I can do this, of course, but it's not accurate. The other way is simply to click on loop, and this time it selects, okay, as you see this, okay. So these are the basic tools you are going to use and reuse. So it's far less to understand than fucking F14 checklist. Okay, so now we can start. So we have our beautiful plane. Okay, we are going to put it there. Okay, and we are going to adjust it perfectly because we want a perfect result, because perfect things are perfect. So we're going to move the edge here. So again, I'm in edge mode. Set this one, I move it here. Okay, and now this one, I move it down here. Okay, now what I want to do is to create a new face here, which is going to recover this. So it is extremely important to understand that, of course, if you use blueprints, you won't see the beautiful lines there. You will see, shit, what am I doing? You will see this, and suddenly things become less obvious if you're not used to it. But again, you can see it quite clearly. Here you've got one line here, okay, one vertical line here. You keep going on here, and you can see that here you've got one vertex here, so it should do this like this. Okay, so we've got one second vertical line here. There you've got a little gap, then again a vertex, so again a vertical line here. Then you continue, and you've got one other vertex here, so line here. Then you've got this here, so you make another one here, or even if you're smarter, you simply make this like this. Anyway, this is, you see what you do, etc, 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 etc. The only reason why I'm not going to I'm going to display the lines for this model instead of trying to explain you how to predict them is simply because if I don't display lines for this one, I don't display lines for this one either, and you are not going to understand what we are doing. So I'm going to display them back. Okay, so I selected. I select this edge now, okay, and I'm going to create my new face. So I hold Shift and I click on the X here, I move it, and oh, miracle, I put it there, more or less like this. And as you can see, I created a new face by holding Shift, and only by holding Shift. If I don't hold Shift and I move it, I don't create anything, I'm simply moving the edge. But if I hold Shift, tack, and I click, oh, a beautiful new face. And again, and again, and again, and you can see, by the way, how I created this model, because this is exactly what I did. And again, and again, and again. It reminds me, you know, the and again and again and again, not porno, it reminds me of the Spoon Killer, but another subject. Well, we are going to stop here for now, and on this side we do the same again here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And we are going to stop here. This will be our example for today, okay? So now that I did this, what I want to do is simply to get the correct shape, okay? So extremely simple. I get in Vertex mode because it's easier to work in this way, okay? And I select those two vertices here, and I simply make them go down, okay? And this one too, and I simply make it go down. And wait! Mistake, terrible mistake. Doing this, I'm not accurate, and I actually I did it on purpose. Doing this, I'm not accurate because I as you can see, I put them by hand, but let's say that I want them, these ones, to be at the exact same altitude, the exact same height than these ones. I'm pretty fucked. So the first possibility, of course, is simply to look at this. Okay, so I selected those two. Look at the Z coordinate, select it, copy it, then select those two, paste it, and now we are at the same height. So this is the first possibility. The second one, smarter, is to select those vertices, go on scale tool, and then scale them on this axis. Okay, so as you can see, they are now at the same height. So don't hesitate in doing what I'm doing, which is you may not see it very well because I've got a double screen and I see the mouse doing it on the lower screen. But anyway, I'm simply holding my click and moving my mouse down and down and down in order to be sure that they are at the exact same value. And now we move them and we put them at the right position. Okay, so now we're going to adjust this. So from what I can see, actually this line wasn't at the beginning here, so I'm going to raise everything. So I select this like this, okay, and I put them like this. Okay, we are good. Okay, so now I'm going to look a bit at what is going on here. So okay, we're fine here. I'm take this vertex, I put it here. Okay, this one, I put it here. This one, I put it here. I'm going to take care about the lower ones. Here, here. So basically, as you can see, we are working fast actually. And again, look at the time. I'm quite tired. Actually, if I make this tutorial right now, it's simply because I've got a 3D printing which is finishing, and I want to make myself sure that everything is okay. So I wait for it to finish. Okay, this one, it was a bit tricky. I put it here. This one here, etc. And we could keep on moving. Okay, so there. This one, I put it here. This one, I put it here. And this one, I put it here. So, question now. Let's say that, well, as you can see here, it's not a perfect line here because this vertex is not perfectly aligned. Okay, it should be more or less like this. But anyway, I can only do this by hand. Okay, and I don't have any way to be extremely accurate. So how could I do? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to get in edge mode, select this edge, remove it first. Secondly, select those two edges now. So again, to remove the edge, I don't do it for this one, but I hold Control and then I click on remove. Then I select those two edges, I click on connect. I select the amount of edges that I want to get connected. I can put a lot of them. Never, by the way, do this because you are going to freeze 3ds Max. So one, okay. If I add two to explain you a bit the parameters, but you will be able to check them by yourselves. So this one takes care of the distance between each line, okay, and this one is the offset of it, okay. So we're going to put 0 here and 0 here and 1 here, okay. Actually not exactly offset, it is more or less, I see it here like this, okay. And as you can see now, by doing like this, I simply made myself sure that we've got a perfect line because it is not modifying the glide. Okay, I validate it. And we are done for this part. Okay, fine. So now we are going to take a bit care about this, and this is going to be far more tricky because if what you don't see in 2D is that this is a quite funny shape to do. I'm going to have fun. Tack. I've got one over edge here, so I create here, la la la, da 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 do, do 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 do, up like this, and like this. I'm starting to get tired. Up, go there, Okay, more or less. Okay. However, no miracles, it won't be perfectly aligned anyway because I need to have this curve. I cannot do what I want. We're going to adjust it perhaps just a bit, but as you can see, it was not even correctly adjusted on the biggest model. It's not really important because, well, in order to see that they are not actually perfectly flat, it's a tank, you know, you don't really give a fuck. Tack, like this, and finally this. Should be more or less like this. Okay. So now we are going to take care about the rear just a bit. I'm not going to make this part because it is shitty to make, and again it is late, and I'm too lazy right now to do it. So tack, tack, up, and then again this. Tack, and then again this. And we are going to just leave just a bit because I don't want a giant triangle. I want a 4 vertices face. Okay, I don't want, if I have to make a triangle, I prefer, for example, to make a triangle which is this size, so you won't see it too much because it may cause shadow issues when loaded, or when you have to add some few things or anything like this. So you want to work with 4 vertices faces as much as possible. So now we are done. Okay, so next step is we get on top view, we put it there, and our hell starts. Okay, so what I want to do first is to get this perfectly aligned with this. So I select vertices mode, and now things become shitty. Because as you can see, it's not as simple as you may think, because it is two like this at the same time. So first I align this like this for beginning, okay. This one I align it like this, okay, more or less. Take this one more or less here, okay. This one more or less here. Now I've done it more or less, okay. I go frontally and I align this like this, okay. 1 and 2. We are relatively good, but we are not perfect. We are not perfect, it is not perfectly planar, and I want something which is perfectly planar, even if perfect planar doesn't exist in reality. I'm in a video game. So what I can do is simply get in face mode, select this one, okay, so the two I want to be planar, and get in make planar here, and now they are planar. I lose a bit of dimensioning, etc., but I get a perfectly flat thing, and this is far better than anything else. Okay, so now that I did this, what I want to do is this part, so same process. You see how painful it is to make a fucking tutorial. Okay, so first one like this more or less, second one, last one, okay, and same process, faces, up, 1, 2, 3, these are those 3, make planar, they are perfectly aligned. Okay. Okay, so now that I did this, what I want to do is close this URL. So do you remember the border tool we saw earlier? So we select it, we select the border, like this, so we select everything. We hold Shift, and we do this. And as you can see, oh, beautiful, like this. I want it to be perfectly straight. So what I do is go to Scale tool, and I do this, and it is straight, okay? And what I wanted is to stop here for the first line, okay? So 1 here, like this, Then I can keep going on for now for this part to here, like this. Okay. I'm going to hide this because I don't need it for now. So I've got this, and of course I don't want this part. So I'm going to simply, I will want to see it just a bit still. Okay, so I want to keep this, but I don't want to keep the remaining part. This is going to be tricky. No, we are going to cancel the last addition for now. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is simply to select this one, this one, this one, this one. Well, actually I'm going to click on loop. Okay, so it has made the wall border, and I'm simply going to hold Alt and remove everything that I don't need. Tack, tack, tack. Okay, should be fine, okay. So right now we are fine, not this one either, okay. And we click on this, holding shift, it goes down, perfect. We scaled it, tack, and we are going to work it back again just a bit, tack, we put it there. I'm going to displace the wall thing to others because it's a bit complicated right now to see. Okay, we've got this. I go back to edges. I put it there. We are not going to focus on these parts because they were added later. Okay, and now what I simply want to do is this, for example. So up, I see that there is one here. Tack. I put it right here. This one should be, well, we do it approximately right now like this. Okay, so they're flat. This one has flat. Okay, this one, this one, they are correct. Yes, they are. These one are not flat, so I'm going to scale them back again. Same process. Up. Okay, and now I go back to move tool. I select this vertex, put it like this, for example, or even like this. Actually, I can put it just like this. Tack, tack, because again this part is added later, and this one doesn't arrange me. I put it here like this, and we're done. Okay, and now finally we can close it. I go back to border, tack, and I've got half of my hull, as you can see. Extremely simple. So now I want my complete hull, so don't use symmetry too fast anyway. We are going to use symmetry. I'm going to show you. Symmetry, you want to use it when really you're sure that you're done with the part you're working on, okay? Not before, because at the end of the day, you make your symmetry too early, and well, you think, oh shit, I forgot this, and oh shit, I need to do it on both sides now. So this is not something we want. So a nice example is, you see, there is this little bevel on the edges here. So what I'm going to do is simply do this, select one, click on loop, and I selected all of them here, but not these ones. I'm going to select them, tack, 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 tack. Okay. Oh, no need for this one, because that's true that I already made a 4-1. Okay. Tack, tack, tack. I think I can click on loop right now. Okay, it is done. I click on loop. Okay, 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 and finally this one. And I made the wall circle. I forgot this one. This one now. Loop. Oh no, no need for this part. Okay, and now I click on chamfer. And oh, what did I do? This thing actually, you are going to understand, as you can see, it simply adds an intermediate, a new line. Okay, so it simply makes an angle like this. And I can tell him to do values to add more than one. So actually, as the geometry is kind of fucked up when you use this tool, I don't suggest you to use it a lot, honestly. Simply for little things that you are not going to notice. Up, you are going to be able to make circles and stuff like this with this. Okay, and now I'm going to set it up to something really tiny, extremely tiny. What the heck is going on here? Don't know. Up, chamfer. Okay, we're fine. Again, this tool, use other method, or well, don't use it too much anyway. And well, we are kind of done. Now we can apply our symmetry. So symmetry, I go over, I select my model, I go in modifier, which is here. So you're not going to get this list because you have to create it by yourself. So you are going to go down, go down, go down, and find symmetry, which should be, I'm starting to sleep, here, symmetry. So right now it is not working as intended, as you can see, because it is making a symmetry on this axis. So I've got the front, which is now here too. So I'm going to change the axis. Why it wasn't this one? Z, it seems to be this one. Flip. It's definitely this, but not the way I wanted it to be. So I'm going to click on the plus here and move the mirror. I have to select the mirror, okay, not the symmetry. If I select the symmetry, I'm going to move the whole polygon, and this is not what I want to do. I want to move the mirror. So again, basically it looks like this, plus mirror, and then I move it. Okay, this starts very well. What? You see, I didn't select the mirror. Okay, up, flip, now up like this. Okay, and what I want to do, okay, so is to now select this stacker. I'm going to bring it as much as possible well positioned. So it should build something like this, and I'm going to move a mirror in order to get the right shape. Okay, this is done. And what I want to do is set the threshold to 001, like this. And now I collapse. Oh, I didn't show you how to collapse slowly, sorry. I select symmetry first, I hold control, I select editable poly, okay. And then right click, collapse all, and we're done. And we've made our oil. So as you can see, making a basic clean model is something which is really extremely simple. So I didn't do this part, that's true. I was too lazy to do it. I could have done it, it was not so much, but as you can see, it is really extremely fast to do a model. So I'm not going to tell you lies, huh? You may have doubt that, well, to show you the entire model, it's not even this one. It should be, I think, this one here. Yeah, the complete complex model. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get away. As you can imagine, this to do is just a bit longer, but well, it is perfectly possible to do it quite fast if you are good enough, or not even good enough. I wouldn't say this, simply motivated enough currently. Really consider that 3ds Max here I showed you a way to do quite easy model. There are a few mistakes here that needs to be fixed. You can see it quite easily because you see this shadow issue here. It's like if there was issue with shape. This is normal. This is because there must be two vertices here which are welded and they should not be. Well, anyway, it is something to fix. But anyway, what you can understand is that it is quite fast to model something when you know how to do it. And to give you an idea, I started using 3ds Max in late November. And this model, where I use Substance Meter, so I had to learn Substance Meter, I made it in December. So it is really possible to learn this fast. It is not really hard because, as you can see if you watch again this tutorial, I always use the same tools, and always use the same tools, and always and always and always. So it's not complicated at all. So I hope this tutorial will have helped you a bit to understand how to make a basic model, how to make it fast and how to make it in an efficient way. Of course, again, you will need a bit more time to make this, but it is not out of range, really far from this. So well, have a nice day and see you next time.